What up, YouTube? I'm back and I'm here to talk about my Unrivaled experience. That's right, for week 2 of the Unrivaled games, I went to Miami with my partner Brian, and let me tell you, we had a blast. If you've been wondering, like, should I go? The answer is 100% yes, you should go. I even recommend that you should go this season if possible, and I'll get more into why later. All right. So, yes, we went for week 2. So, we just went to the Friday and Saturday game. I was very tempted to go to Monday's game as well. But, it was a little bit of an impulsive trip. We've been following Unrivaled for a while and we knew we wanted to go. But literally, when the tickets went live, we hopped on week 1 because we wanted to be there for opening week, and immediately, bam, the tickets were gone. So then we jumped over to week 2 to try to get those tickets as fast as possible, and luckily we both lucked out. I managed to get the Friday tickets, and in the arena, when you're looking at the game, we were off to this side. And at first I was like, oh, dang, we're not centered. But for Saturday, my partner was able to get the centered seat section. So we were happy about that. And then, of course, it all sold out and then is getting resold on like those sites, which if we can figure out how to stop that from happening would be great, because it really is infuriating when it comes to trying to see a concert or a sporting event, knowing that people are just snagging them and selling them for triple, most of the time, triple the price, is infuriating. But we got very lucky and got those tickets at the ticket price. So for like $65, which is such a great deal. And then we were just like, okay, guess we're going to Miami January 24th and 25th. And then so from there, we were like planning our trip. And yeah, we decided with work and everything, take the Thursday night red eye, get to Miami at 6 a.m. And then we were basically there and left early Sunday morning. Yeah, it's just kind of how it was. And to be honest, I'm glad it worked out that way because we live in LA and we were experiencing the fires. And a couple weekends before, we even went down to San Diego, where my family lives, and I stayed with them with all our cats and everything. So knowing we were just dipping out for a few days and then coming back was just good to know, because fires can happen anywhere. Ugh. But anyways, back to Unrivaled. So we booked our flights. We ended up doing an Airbnb. We tried to get really close to the arena, and in retrospect, the Airbnb we stayed at was really nice, very cozy, and yeah, it was like an 8-minute drive from the Wayfair Arena. But the Wayfair Arena is kind of close to the airport and nothing else. We did Saturday night, we went and got Indian food near the Wayfair Arena. Again, like maybe a 10-minute drive. And then that area was really cute and maybe where the players live. I don't know. I've been seeing like Instagram posts of them all like looking out over the balconies. And I'm like, okay, you all are in the same like building. And it might be in that area because there's a lot of big apartment buildings and really cute restaurants and everything. And the Indian restaurant we went to was like really good. So, in that regard, that was cool and nearby, but still a drive. So, I don't know. In retrospect, maybe if and when we go back to Miami, maybe we would just stay like more downtown, so we would have stuff to do. That's my cat using the litter box. Uh, but again, the Airbnb we stayed in was really nice, and Ubering around wasn't terribly expensive. So that's not too bad. And it was also my first time in Miami, so he's going back in. I don't know why he's going back in. Didn't he just use it? I don't know. Also, it's almost dinner time, so they're just being extra right now. Don't mind them. Um, but yeah, it was my first time in Miami, so I wanted to see like the beach and iconic places. So in between the games, that's what we were doing, and it made it super fun. So if you've never been to Miami, you can make it like a whole experience. We even went to like the Miami Cultural Museum just to learn about Miami, and it was great. It's fun to learn. Yeah, so 6 a.m. Friday, we arrive in Miami. We feel crazy. We immediately go get Cuban coffee. That helped. It was also really cold that day. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, Miami is cold and wet and not fun. The next day, though, it was 70 degrees, super sunny, and everyone was at the beach, and that made it super fun. Was like, okay, this is Miami. But when you're just getting off a plane and feel crazy. It didn't help, but we made the best of it. And like, we got coffee, we walked around the cold beach, we saw the Dwayne Wade statue, which was fun and crazy. I should have included that picture. I'll throw it in the next time. And then, luckily, a nice thing about Airbnb is this is not an ad for Airbnb, but some of the Airbnbs will be like, yeah, you can check in early. And that's what happened with us. And that helped a lot. So we were able to get into our Airbnb by noon, take a nap, a shower, just get ready for the day. And that helped so much. That like woke us up. Then we went back out, did some touristy stuff, and then we took an Uber to the Wayfair Arena. And this is where our unrivaled experience begins. And it's so cute. It's so awesome. And it's incredibly badass. When I say cute, I'm talking about the fan experience. So you get dropped off and you're like, where are we going? And then it's like, oh, go behind this like building. And you're walking through this parking lot. And then all of a sudden you see like a Wayfair banner. And if you hear that, that might be my cat puking. They're being extra because they want to eat, but they don't eat for another 20, 30 minutes. We try to be really strict about their time of when they eat, and they try to push it every time because they're cats. Anyways, you go around the building, they take your tickets, check your bags and everything. You see the Wayfair Arena Unrivaled banner. Boom, you walk in, you're there. Already you see little tables, people are talking. You see WNBA gear everywhere. You see Unrivaled gear everywhere. And already there's like photo ops. There's like places to shoot basketballs, to win like little bracelets, which, not to brag, I did win a little bracelet. I am not wearing it right now, but little opportunities. I also am pretty sure they used these basketball like it's like there's like a low one, a middle one, and then a high one. And people are just shooting to try to make it. And then the people that are like super, super good at shooting, I think they get pulled to do the halftime show. So the halftime show, there isn't a halftime show. I would love in the future for there to be a halftime show. You know, give me dancers. A lot of people that worked at Unrivaled were like super extroverted and like getting the fans to like chant like, when I say un, you say rival, unrivaled, unrivaled. And that made it so fun. So I'm like, halftime, give me a show. I know it's only 5 minutes. Maybe in the future they'll get like a true halftime, which I think the players deserve. Obviously, that is like a deal with like TNT or True TV or Max or whatever to be like, hey, we got to keep this going. You need, ideally, they wanted these games to be under an hour, and that's like not happening at all. So let's see if in the future they make these games like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and then you get a halftime show. And as a viewer at home, then you can like go grab a drink or use the bathroom or whatever. But if you're a fan at Unrivaled, you could see like a show with like dancers and stuff. And I know Miami has that talent, so I would love to see that. But for right now, the halftime show is you see two people kind of do like a shoot off to win some merch. It's fun. It's cool. Is it more fun if you're the person shooting? Absolutely, 100%. I want to be that person, but it's hard to shoot at a booth. because you have the big like wooden block and you can't jump into the block. You got to bend those knees. I don't know. I think it's hard. It's much harder than shooting on a court where you have the space. Yeah, so that's an option. And then there's lots of Photoshop opportunities. There's merch. There's like little boutique selling merch. And then there's a huge merch shop, which I'll talk about in a second. And then there's food. I didn't eat the food. I had a couple of beverages that were good. And I heard the food was good, but also the options are limited. I don't know if like next year there'll be more options, but I did hear that the food was actually good. We were just like, let's eat before we go so we're not hungry, because there's nothing worse than like being so excited for an event and then you get there and you're hungry. We didn't want that to happen. So we're like, we'll just have a drink and enjoy it. Also, what's really nice about Unrivaled in most cases is if you're going there that night, you're going to see 2 games. Obviously, a couple weeks ago, the Laces finals game got canceled, looking out for players who were injured. And yeah, that's good. But definitely, if I bought tickets and flew all the way from LA or wherever to see those games, and then you're not seeing that matchup, really sucks. And for me, I have chosen Laces as my team because I love AT so much, Alyssa Thomas. She's so fun to watch, so incredible. And at first I was like, no, I'm going to try to pick a different team because, like I got other favorites. Like I'm a big Natasha Cloud fan. She's on Phantom with BG and like really getting to see like Satu Sabali play. You got Sabrina. Look, I can name everybody on every team, but we're not going to do that. But I was like, maybe I'm a Phantom fan, maybe I'm a Vinyl fan. Like you got Dearica Hamby and Ryan Howard on it, who went to the Olympics for the 3-on-3. So this should be a piece of cake for them. Shoot, maybe I'm a Rose fan, I love Chelsea Gray, and there's a lot of cool people on that team and a lot of people that I think get to showcase what they do best on that team, and will just make you even bigger fan when you watch WNBA next season. And let's see, we got the Rose, we got the Phantom, Mist. I mean, if you watch my last video, I love Aaliyah Edwards, and she's going off right now in the one-on-one tournament, and she's super fun. And you got Stewie, you got Dejanay Carrington, which, as I said before, I have a very soft spot for. Rickea Jackson, who I love. It's crazy to be a WNBA fan and then be like, all right, Unrivaled, let's go. Wait, you want me to pick a team? You've just taken all my favorite players and like put them on every team's like across the board. How do I pick, And some people like sat back and were like, I'm going to watch a few games. I watched week 1 and was like, all right, I want to be a Laces fan. At first I was a little like Laces, Aces, I don't know. But I mean, the starting lineup for the longest time was AT, Mick Buckets, and somebody else that's not an Aces fan. Dolson. Like, so it doesn't feel like, oh, this is a fully Aces team. And just seeing them cook was awesome. And then you see the Aces come off the bench, Kate Martin's now on the Valkyries. I fully understand that. But they were so fun to watch. Obviously now that is the most injured team, and that's really sad because I do feel like the prospects of an Unrivaled championship are just slipping out of our fingers, but we'll see what happens. I'm also curious, with that game canceled, does that mean down the road we will get to see that matchup again? I'm hoping so, but this is the fun thing about Unrivaled is they're still figuring it out. So things feel like they're kind of getting made up on the fly. For instance, they start off with all teams have 6 players. And now I think fans and Unrivaled League alike have realized 6 players is not enough. Like, we need probably 8 players. I've seen people talk about like, well, what if there's like a team that's just like those are the people you pull? Because if a big gets hurt, you want a big to replace them. If a guard gets hurt, you want a guard to replace them. So how are they going to make that work? And that I think is also what's like so fun about the Unrivaled League is we're figuring it out together. So with this canceled game, it's like, do we see that rematch again? I don't know. I will say, I wish Unrivaled was a little more transparent about injuries and like what's going on. But at the same time, I think if I was a player in this league and I'm experiencing an injury, I wouldn't want the league speaking on my behalf. Because look, WNBA trades are happening, and if you have an injury that's going to put you out for a while, that can hurt your prospects of where you're going to go, how you're going to be reassigned. Like, it's a money thing. So Unrivaled has been very clear about equity for players. So I think most players would be like, don't showcase my injury. Like, just say I'm not playing tonight. So I digress. Let me show you some pictures. That would be fun. So yes, as I said, there's lots of photo ops. So here's my partner and I. So there's like a really cute Unrivaled like chair that you can sit in and get to feel badass. And I totally felt badass in that chair. And here we go over here. This is like cute pop-up art where like all the jerseys were painted on and you can all see it. 25 makes me think it's Alyssa Thomas, but that's just me. And this is really cute. It's like, it's a big banner and every day it's blank. And it says blank is Unrivaled. And then someone's there with markers, you have a marker and you can put whatever you want. So people are like, future is unrivaled, equality is unrivaled, women are unrivaled. And it's really inspiring and super badass to see what everybody says. And as you can see, this is January 24th. So they're going to have one for every game and you can put your mark on there. And it's awesome. All right. And then here, so once you go walk in and you see all the games and the photo ops and the food and everything, you can keep going forward and there's a bunch of bathrooms if you need to use a bathroom. They're like one of those like fancy like essentially fancy porta potties, but they're really big. Like you walk in and there's like 6 stalls and like water and soap, and it honestly could have been really gross, but it was nice. It wasn't bad. And again, if you don't know, the Wayfair Arena is built on a soundstage. So they built it and then probably were like, oh shit, shiitake, where is everyone going to use the bathroom? So then it ended up being like these studio porta potties, which I don't know how to describe them other than like if you've worked on a set, then oftentimes that's where you poop and pee. Anyways, so you're walking down and then you look to the right, bam, here's the entrance to the Wayfair Arena, which you can see, bam, is their really big merch shop, which my partner and I, we love merch, specifically when it comes to basketball. There's just something fun about it. It's really smart how like every year they like come out with new editions and everything, and it's great. But I will admit I do have like a bad rap for buying like a jersey and then that player gets traded or gets injured or doesn't come back and makes me feel like I shouldn't be buying jerseys. So I should just stick with like Unrivaled, which this shirt I actually bought months before I even bought tickets to go to Miami because I was just so excited for Unrivaled and I wanted to support them. So when they were like, we have a shirt, I'm like, here's my money. Then when I went into the Wayfair Arena and saw more merch, I was like, all right, I'm buying this laces hat right here, which I can grab for you to see. This is when I was like, I love the laces. And honestly, like usually I buy like black hats, but this one, laces, for whatever reason, they only had white hats available. And then I was like, you know what? I don't have a white hat. And I picked the laces. They got hoodies. They got t-shirts. I ended up buying like a Rose basketball t-shirt because I liked the logo a lot. And again, like Chelsea Gray, Brittany Sykes, there's a lot of people on that team that I absolutely love. There's pins. It's pretty cool and it's pretty great. And I ended up buying like a long sleeve shirt too because Friday was freaking cold and I wanted to be warm. And it said Unrivaled. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just bite the bullet and get it. And I know I'm going to wear it like one video. So don't worry, you will see it at some point. I have hat hair, just figuring out my life right now. There we go. So yeah, you go into the merch store, you see all that, you try not to spend all your money. Then there's a bar, and then it's like they have specialty drinks, little food there, and then they got like beer and mixed drinks and stuff. And what's great is like there are brands like Miller Lite who support Unrivaled, and then of course they serve Miller Lite. So my partner was like, I'll get that and support them because we are like, we want this to keep going, so let's support. And then I believe it's 15 minutes before the game. It might be 45. They open the doors and you get to go in. And before you get to go in, you get to see this. It's another great photo opportunity. And it just feels cool to like, you're walking in, the doors are to your right. You see that banner. You're like, well, I got to get a picture. Then you go in. When you go in, it's a little bit of a hot mess because it's kind of a small entrance. Like you walk in and like the court is here. So you're like seeing the court right away. I'm like seeing Natasha Cloud like shooting and practicing. And I'm like, this is awesome. So you see that, and then seats, the long seats are that way. And then the side seats are here. Friday night, we have the side seats. So it just gets a little clogged. People are like, I don't know where I'm going. Or here's one of the coolest things about Unrivaled. You will just see players like off to the side hanging out. Or you will see, like, for me, Stewie's wife. And you're like, right there. Do I say hello? Like, what's the deal? And everyone is like pretty down to chat. I think if they wanted to hide, they could be off like backstage. But everyone's just kind of out. So that like people can stop and talk to them, just trying to figure out where you're sitting. It gets a little clogged in that area, but once you get to your seat, or like if you want to use the bathroom or grab a drink, you just got to kind of deal with that. But if you know where you're sitting, you can kind of like finagle and then be like, oh, what's up, Erica Hamby? Because that happened to me. Yeah. So we got our seats. And at first I was like, as I said, I was a little bummed about being on the side. But to be honest, I think that was our best view. Because Saturday we were more like on the main flat where the TV, you know, we had that perspective. And it was good, but there's something about the view we had, which I'll show you. Yeah. So here we are, literally like 2 rows back, and bam, you see the court and you get that long view. But then you get to enjoy. Okay. So at first I said I was bummed because I wasn't more like center. And, you know, if you're going to see basketball, it's fun to see center, but it's also really cool to be on the side. And it's really cool when you get to see plays like this happen. And like this. Shout out to my girl AT.
Spectre off.
AT!
I mean, that is cool. And it felt right there. And that is what makes Unrivaled so cool to be there live. Is everywhere you're sitting, you feel incredibly close. Saturday we were on the side, so we had views that were more like I mean, spoiler alert, was that Chelsea Gray getting the winning point? Yes. And it looked great. And it was cool. It was super fun, but it was something about being on the side. It really felt almost like courtside because the sides are so like right there where the middle section's like a little more laid back. So, no, at the end of the day, I'm not going to complain if I get to see an unrivaled game in person. Yeah. A couple of things about being there Friday and Saturday night was it almost feels like you're going to women's basketball camp because everybody that is there is a die-hard women's basketball fan. Both nights we sat next to people in the beginning, we didn't know who they were or like, you go to a lot of sporting events, you don't really talk to people around you. Sometimes you do. It's just but it's like a situation of like, oh, we're just all extroverted. But this felt like just having a shared love of women's basketball and appreciation and talking about women's basketball in like a layered way that it's like if you know you know and everybody just has that language, so it feels so good. So for example, Saturday night we were watching the Owls versus Phantom. This was when again we were talking about how like six is not enough players when somebody gets hurt or if someone just happens to be in Paris, which is what Sabrina was doing. So Natisha Heidemann got signed onto the Phantoms. And if you're like a super hardcore fan, you're like, wait, Heidemann is best friends with Courtney Williams, who is playing on the Owls. And they always played together on different teams. And right now they're playing on the Lynx. Now we get to watch them be on opposing teams. And because it is so intimate, you could literally hear Courtney Williams talking shiitake to Heidemann. And it was so funny. Also, the entire audience was just laughing because we all know that they are super close and it just made it feel extra special. Where, going to a WNBA game is fun, but you get people that are like, this is my first game, or I'm, learning and I don't know who's dating who or what's going on, what's the tea. And there it was like, we all had that shared knowledge and maybe we're learning more, but also like what was fun was like, one night we were sitting next to people that came from Connecticut because they're Connecticut Sun people and just hearing them talk about their arena and like what's it like to be a season ticket holder in Connecticut versus LA versus New York. You're just seeing everybody come and that is like so special. And again, if you're like, I can budget a little weekend getaway to see Unrivaled, you got to do it. Also, what I was talking about earlier about how like you get to see players like sitting in the stands and walking around and like not to be a creep, but did I get this picture to send to my friend to be like, hey, check it out. There's Dejanay and Melissa Smith just sitting next to each other, having a great time. Does that make it fun if you know, you know? Yeah, it makes it really fun. So just like going there season one, it's like, I don't know if season two is going to be as intimate or as accessible. I will say I saw Angel Reese like sitting in the stands, hanging out with Teaspoon, and she had a bodyguard. So, it still is like, got to keep people safe and everything. And yeah, there are certain players that like I don't even think would come out just because it's just a lot. And I wouldn't be surprised if next season we don't get to see as many players just like mingling. So if you can go now, I think that is like a good time. Who knows? We'll see what season two is going to be like. I do think it's going to stay in Miami. There's just like a lot of good things going for Miami. Like I do most of the time, it's like super warm and sunny. You get the tax incentive, and everybody's getting paid and not going overseas. So I think it's going to stay in Miami. I wish it was more like LA because I would want to go to these games all the time. It's so fun to see in person. TV is great too. I think both for fans there and watching on TV, we want more communication. We want replays. We want injury reports. We want to know like what's going on, and that's not happening. I don't know how much is that of that is going to change. I feel like replays is going to get there, but communication about injury reports and stuff might always be kind of like day to day. Don't really know what's going on because again, protecting people from the WNBA and all that stuff. So we'll see. But if you can get out there, have a great time, tell me about it. And yeah, that's my unrivaled experience. Thanks for watching. And if you like, give it a likes up, give it a subscribe. And I'm going to be back to talk more unrivaled. And I got to start talking about these WNBA trades because a lot is happening. It is wild, but it fully isn't going to be the wild, wild west like it'll be next season. So talk to you later. Bye.